Together for Miss Ellen Gabriel. Where we go? I'll leave it there.
Sego. I was going to make you say what Colorado, but I know that's a tongue twister for you guys. What Colorado, kasi sa kos na yung judge tanong ganyato. Yaw di sa wajak toro ra ginaga, sa wani sa ngwaya ganana ngway sum. Nana ti dari mo staff ko. Ko honi si tinahe. Let's speak English for now. I want to say thank you all for coming on this beautiful fall day as we remember those children who never came home. And it's really interesting for me when I'm listening to people talk about genocide, and they don't consider Canada and the United States as having committed genocide. On July 1st, 2001, they created the ICJ. There was the Rome Statute. And the ICJ decided, or the ICC decided, that it was beyond their jurisdiction to go retroactive on acts of genocide. But I want people to help us get Canada recognized as one of those countries that has committed genocide. Last year, my good friend, Leah Gazan, who's an MP from Winnipeg, passed a bill to have Parliament recognize the Indian residential school as genocide. Domestically it is. But we need to go further. We need to call this for what it is and the truth telling of this chapter in your country's history, in your government's history. And I have to say, I'm not Canadian. I do not consider myself Canadian. I do not consider myself Quebecois. We do not accept imposed citizenship upon us. Just as we do not accept what happened at the Indian residential school. It was not cultural genocide, which is what the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was forced to write. Because cultural genocide is not even a legal term. But it's something that Canada wanted people to know. Oh, it affected your languages. It affected more than our languages. And Indian residential school was not the only genocidal act that Canada and the United States committed against Indigenous people. Because today, you are still taking our land. You are still occupying our land. You are still saying that our languages are inferior and that the only two languages that really matter are French and English. Well, this is Kanyakahaga territory. Kanyakaha is the land. And I want you guys to help me, especially those of you who have children in school or you're in post-secondary institutions, to say that Indian residential school denialism is a crime. And denialism, the government of Canada has said nothing about denialism. In 1936, between 1936 and 1954, Canada was already destroying the files, the records of Indian residential schools, and they continue this to this day to try and erase us from this land's history. But I can tell you, we will never allow the erasure of our people from this country's history. We will not allow it. And I want to talk about those children that never came home. Their parents did not give them up willingly. They were kidnapped by the Royal Canadian Armed Police, Mounted Police, forcibly, with weapons pointed at their parents as they tried to hide their children. And when they came back, they could not speak their language. They did not know what it meant to be a mother or father because they were not cared for in the Indian residential schools. This was an education system, a purported education system, but it was not for education. It was to make us extinguish our rights, make us extinguish who we are as the first peoples of this land, make us forget those teachings that helped us survive centuries before the white man came here. After 1 century of contact, 3/4 of the indigenous populations in the Americas were dead because of war and disease. Tell me that's not genocide. Those children who could not even hug their brother or sister, or else risk being punished and beaten and put in dungeons in Indian residential school systems. That is the history of Canada. That is what Canada means to me. A brutal, violent colonizer who does not give a hoot about the first peoples of this land because their mission has always been the same as it was 500 years ago, over 500 years ago, when they came to this beautiful land. And that was to steal our land, our resources. And how they did that was through the theft of our children, stealing our children, forcibly disappearing them, so that now we see them in unmarked graves. And those unmarked graves are not protected from development. As Kimberly Murray said, denialism is the last stage of genocide. And so Canada, you are in the last stage of genocide. But we know that it's going to continue. You're going to continue it because there are more children in the child welfare system today that went to Indian residential schools. We know that you're going to continue to steal our land and take it from us because you have allowed an education system to flourish that dehumanizes Indigenous people, that dehumanizes our languages. And so when you take our land for the economic prosperity of Quebec and Canada, it's justified because we are still the Indian problem that Duncan Campbell Scott wrote about and which John A. Macdonald also thought about, that we are the Indian problem. And for me, I can say I'm proud to be an Indian problem to Canada. As a global society, we have failed all children. We have failed them. The International Convention on the Rights of the Child talks about childhood. We need to take special care for those who are in childhood because it is a special time in a person's life. What do we see? Children taken from their mother's breasts because they were in the child welfare system at one point, because poverty is an excuse by social workers to remove children from their families. And that is still going on in the Indigenous communities. And we have failed children all around the world who are starving, who are being bombed, who are being maimed, dismembered, become orphans, as they have in Gaza, in Sudan, and all those countries. As James Baldwin said, every child is our child. Every child matters. Every child matters. Every child and we need that land. We are the fastest growing population. And we have the smallest amounts of lands from which to flourish from. And so when we talk about land back, we're not taking your keys from your homes. But the land that is not developed should be returned to us, not to corporations. We don't give a shit about any human rights. And this university that we are standing in front of, that built its university with the trust fund of the Renconciliation people, and who deny who deny us the right to enter on our homelands, who deny us that ability to welcome all those who are seeking refuge on our homelands. And I'm here to say to McGill University, you will not decide which Haudenosaunee person is the good person that you're going to deal with. You deal with all of us, because all of us are rights holders. And as rights holders, that is our land. And for those of you who have a sibling, an aunt, an uncle, who never came home, my condolences. We cannot sit in the grief forever, because they want us to make sure that this genocidal country does not forget that they were once here on this beautiful Mother Earth. It is up to us to make sure that their memory is not erased. And it is up to all of you here to make sure that Indigenous people, the first peoples of this beautiful land, are not just a footnote in history, but we are actual human beings. See us as human beings, not as problems. Yeah. See us as someone that commits with the richness and the diversity of this planet. And we remember every single day that every single child matters. Now it's just going to go on again.
Ladies and gentlemen, for 10 seconds, I'd like to have a moment of silence for all the children that didn't come home. 3, 2, 1. Now let's give a round of applause to our elders who fought hard, who escaped, who came home, who gave our language, who gave our culture, gave their lives for us. Make some noise! We're here! We're here, don't forget that! We speak for them now.